How many of you are not yet TIE members? So guess what? This is your lucky day, because $100 a year, okay, you pay more than that for your monthly cell phone bill. 30 cents a day, you can be a member of TIE, and you can come to 60 plus events like this, eat wonderful Indian and other types of food, have a glass of wine, network with some of the most influential people in the Valley and panelists, and see where else can you get that kind of value? Nowhere but here. So Patricia is going to stop all of you non-members at the door before you leave. Take your credit cards, very simple and painless, and we'll get that started. So we were founded 20 years ago in 1992 here in the Silicon Valley by a group of folks who came from the Indus region, and they came here with their degrees and their willingness to work hard, and they worked hard and became very, very successful as entrepreneurs or corporate executives, and they did that without a lot of support. And they said, you know what, we would like to come together and help other people succeed and help other entrepreneurs to succeed. So that's what they did. They came together. They would come together first on a monthly basis, and they would invite other successful entrepreneurs of the time to tell their stories. And lo and behold, here we are 20 years later, 57 chapters, 14 countries, and the sole mission from day one has been to foster entrepreneurship. So we have three major stakeholders of TIE, which I mentioned first is our members. So thanks to the community of members that makes this work. Then we have our category of members called our charter members. This is an invitation-only group, and these folks are highly, highly successful entrepreneurs or serial entrepreneurs. They're C-level corporate executives or academics, and we invite them here, and they give up to us probably the most important thing that you can ask of a person, and that's their time and expertise. And they give that to us freely. So the charter members really provide the backbone of the organization. They provide, the support in terms of, they play the board roles, they play these interest group chairs, they really volunteer their time as mentors, investors, and things like that. And we have several of those folks in the room here today. Could I see a show of hands of our charter members, please? Very, very high. They tend to sit together. But so, I should, next time I have a list here, and I should just separate you and put you in so that everybody else can get a chance to meet some of you. So if you haven't met CM in the room tonight, I urge you to go and find them. Usually between 8:30 and 9 we end, and then you have a little bit more time to mingle. And then find one of them and go and talk to them, because I guarantee you'll find somebody that is a valuable friend, mentor, contact for you in the Valley. Then we have our I wanted to point out some board members who are charter members in the room. So first, Vish, our president, our fearless leader, our #1 chief volunteer. Vish, can you stand up? So I used to say this, but I haven't said it for a long time, but I just want to know how many in this room do not know Vish? Probably like one person. Yeah, you. I mean, or how about this? How many people does Vish not know in the room? That's probably a better question. Vish has been in the Valley for 30 plus years, and I'm not kidding, the guy knows everybody and knows, your family and all that. And he's been a fantastic president for us for 3 years. He's serving his 4th and final year this year, and we're delighted that he's here he's the president for our 20th anniversary. Thanks, Vish, for your support. Then we have our program chair, Mr. Naveen Bisht, who oversees all of these fantastic programs and helps us put together all these programs. That's it for the board members tonight. So the third category of stakeholders that I mentioned are our sponsor community. So our charter members are the backbone, sponsors are the lifeblood. And they consist of the big corporations, the VCs, the banks, and the law firms. And we cannot provide the things that we do, these quality types of programs, without the support of our sponsors. And I know Silicon Valley Bank and Morgan Stanley are on my list, but I don't see any of the representatives here. But to all the sponsors, thank you so much for your generous support. We just can't do the things that we do without you, and we can't do the things that we do without the support of the charter members, and certainly the members as well. And then there's a fourth category of stakeholders that comes from all of the other three, and that's our volunteer community. So the volunteers are really the people that make this organization work. So I have a small staff of people who do a ton of work. But we have 500 plus volunteers doing these things. So everybody from the people who are helping you at the door, to our panelists, to our board members, to the chairs of these programs, they all volunteer their time to do this. And so, this thing just does not, I can't stress enough how this does not work without the volunteers. So thank you to the volunteers. As I mentioned, we do about 50 to 60 programs a year just like this. We have our special interest groups that are along the 5 industry sectors, so social, mobile, cloud, energy, and life sciences. We have our forums. We have our purely networking mixer. In fact, our networking mixer, next one's coming up, or the first one of the year is coming up a week from today on March 8th, right here in this room. And it's a chance to network and have some appetizers and wine. It's a good place for just a meet and greet kind of place. We launched a program last year called My Story, where we kind of went back to our roots and said, we used to feature a successful entrepreneur once a month. So we relaunched this program last year. It's become very successful for us. It's the first Tuesday of each month, and the first Tuesday of March is on Tuesday, and we have a fantastic entrepreneur, Bobby Yazdani, coming to speak to us. So we're taking registrations for that. I urge you to come. It's going to be a fantastic program. We also launched a program called Pitch Fest last year, which entrepreneurs get to practice their pitch to a panel of VCs. And then Thai Angels, we launched at the end of 2010, and that has been a very successful program for us. If you're a promising startup or you know a promising startup that is in need of angel funding, I would urge you to apply to Thai Angels by visiting us online. And so to date, we have funded 14 companies to about $5.5 million just with angel money, but we've had some select VCs invest in those companies, and so the actual amount of investment between Thai Angels and the investment that we've brought with the VCs is much higher than $5.5 million. It's been a fantastic program, and you're going to hear from one of the companies tonight. But I wanted to point out some of the steering committee members of Thai Angels, so in case you want to talk about it, you have questions, that you can also talk to them tonight. So Raj Parekh, sitting over here, Naveen Bisht. And Vish is, we just pull him into everything. He has to volunteer for everything. That's the role. That's what it says under president's role. You do everything else. Then ThaiCon. How many of you have been to ThaiCon? So this is our 20th anniversary celebration, May 18th and 19th. Mark your calendars now. It's going to be a wonderful, wonderful program. And I'm not sure if you know this, but if you do, I'm going to tell you anyways. ThaiCon 2011, we were listed as one of the 10 best conferences for ideas and entrepreneurship, along with the World Economic Forum and TED and Demo and some of these conferences that are for-profit conferences. And we run this conference. Our intention is not to make money, it's just to spread innovation and ideas. So we're very proud of this great honor. And we have our own very big shoes to fill for this year. So we have a whole team of volunteers putting this conference together. Registration is going to open next week, so stay tuned for that email. If you are interested in being part of the ThaiCon Innovation Expo, there's a flyer right on your tables. It has the information for all of the booth pricing. Last year we had 120 companies showcase at the ThaiCon Innovation Expo, so it's a great place to showcase your wares, your products, and services. And I think that's it. The last thing I'd like to do is I always like to thank my small but mighty staff. You met Patricia and Poonam at the door. And of course, thank you to the board of directors. It's always a pleasure to work with a great team. So without further ado, right now I'm going to have Vish come up here and take it away. Thank you for your attention.
Great. Thank you, Karen, for really doing a wonderful introduction. Just a couple of things I just want to just kind of re-emphasize. Karen said enough about Thai, but you got to remember one thing, especially to those folks who are charter members. The backbone of this organization are what we call the charter members. These people have only two qualities. A, they are extraordinarily successful, and B, they are extraordinarily generous. Generous with the time as well as money. And so these are the people, if the combination is right, then they get invited to be a charter member, because you could be successful, but you're not generous, then you don't belong here. You could be super generous but not successful, then we can have a little conversation, okay, at that time, okay. Back to the program. So as Kiran pointed out, okay, we do a whole bunch of programs, but basically they have only 4 components to it. A program can't be inspirational. It got to educate somebody, it got to prepare an entrepreneur, and it also got to fund an entrepreneur. So one of the things that we have done, last year we started just in the summer this program, because Thai has been kind of doing angel funding anyway. We said, let's just kind of really formalize and institutionalize in a big way. And so we launched this program called TiE Angels. In 15 months, this program has been super successful. I mean, we basically are funding one company a month. There are 110 plus accredited investors. They meet the entire SEC qualification to be accredited investor. That means they got to have the net worth requirement, they got to have the net income requirement, okay? And these are people. So one thing we're going to do that each event that we do at TiE, we're going to feature one of those successful entrepreneurs. And I'm so happy to just introduce tonight, and we're going to give a couple of minutes to come in, the company called PubNub. The founders, Todd Green and Stephen over there, and then they just got Doran as the business development executive. They have received the most number of angels have put money in their company. I thought about 20, but Todd corrects me, that's only 19. Well, Todd, I think I'm going to get 20, okay? So if you agree, so we're putting the second round of capital in his fund, in his company tonight or tomorrow. We put $575K before, and we're going to put $375,000 additional, so it comes to close almost like $1 million, right? So maybe we can get one, heavy-duty angel here and write a $50,000 check, and we'll round it up to $1 million tonight, okay? So anyway, so let Todd come and tell his story just for about a couple of minutes, and I think that'll be very interesting for you guys to know. So Todd, would you please come and just take it away? And thank you all for coming, okay? Appreciate it.
Hi, thanks. Thanks, Vish. Really, we're very honored to be the first TiE Angel company to present here. And as Vish said, Stephen Blum is the founder and genius behind PubNub, and Doran has recently joined us as our VP of BizDev. So I'm just going to spend a couple of minutes describing what we do. So PubNub is a cloud-hosted service. We're democratizing the ability for people to build real-time, massively multiplayer applications. All right. If you take a look at all these different kinds of multiplayer, multi-user applications today, everything from Skype to World of Warcraft to WebEx and to a host of others, the one thing that's common across all of them is they spend tens of millions of dollars on infrastructure. Now, if you're a smaller company and you've got a great idea, but it involves lots of users interacting together in some way, you typically don't have the investment to build that kind of complex infrastructure to do a massively multi-user application. What we have built is a cloud-hosted service that lets you do exactly that. So some of the most exciting companies in the world are building very cool apps on top of the PubNub service. In fact, one of the people on the stage right here, Spreecast, is an example of a great company that's powering all their real-time interactions with PubNub. We're growing like crazy. We've actually 400% growth in our customer base since the TiE Angel investment. And there's a lot of exciting things happening with the company. Anything else I should say here?
No, I wanted to just say hi to Spreecast guy.
Yeah? So, yeah, it's very cool. And so we actually get an inside view into some of the really newest and exciting applications that are out there. We've done events. People have used our service now to do events like the Australian Open, the Super Bowl, the Grammys, the Oscars. Any kind of massively multi-user, whether it's voting, control of video, real-time video streaming. There's a lot of different verticals, financial apps that people are using PubNub to power. So I think that's it, and I really appreciate the time for listening, and thanks so much to TiE Angels for the amazing support they've given us really in both rounds of the financing we've gone.
Come on, Naveen, over here. Okay, now I want to introduce you guys to Naveen Bist. Naveen is our program chair and board member. He came on the board last year, January 1st. So this is his second year board member. And one of the things that Naveen has done, he has absolutely revitalized the TiE programs. I mean, he is a dynamo. And I thought that I'm the one who didn't sleep and all that kind of stuff, but I think maybe he's a bit younger than me. So now he's beating me to, in working hours. But amazing job, like 65 such programs we conducted last year, thanks to Naveen. So you now take it away, introduce the panel, and it's all your show. Okay, congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you, Wes. That was very generous, and I don't think it was required. But who I wanted to really have us applaud is Kiran. Because Kiran was talking about everyone, thanking everyone. I was thinking that let's give a big round of applause to Kiran and because she really, I always tell her that she has to be here. I mean, she lives up north somewhere in in Danville area, and she stays for the 7 o'clock program, and works 24 hours. And plus with the small staff like Poonam and Tricia over there. So really, really appreciate her supporting to her and her staff to support and bring out these wonderful programs over here. So again, thanks a lot. Before we get, are you guys having fun? Just get a glass of wine. Okay. Right, come on. Okay, so we still have a couple of bottles left. I know it's a not-for-profit, but you know, that's one thing I like here. You know. So we might not have the wine glass, but you have the wine. So anyway, before that, I would like to thank our last year's, our co-chair, who is now co-convener for this year, TiECon in May, called Jay Rawat. He was leading the social media panels for the last few years, along with Shalini Govalpai. She's another co-chair. She joined last year, and I had to convince her for half an hour that it won't take much time. But you know, she's still smiling, so I guess it's not taking that much time. So anyway, so Jay was very instrumental in bringing the social media, and he's also founder and CEO of a social media startup called Sharp Socially, so you can check it out, as well as co-convener for TiECon. I really wanted to give a round of applause to him, even though he's in India. I'm sure he can hear our claps. So let's give a big round of applause to Jay Rawat. Okay. I'm sure he must be getting up in India right now. Now, what I would like to do is introduce our two new, one new co-chair, and Shalini, of course, started last year. So let me start with first with Bhaskar Roy, who's sitting here third from the left side, right there. So Bhaskar is, he in fact, last year I did a My Story session, My Story program on him, because he was founder of company called Quick, which was bought by Skype. In fact, it was one of the first mobile video sharing platform on before even iPhone came out. So right in, I think they they founded the company back in 2006 and really steered it through all the things which went on in the market, as you all know, in 2008, etc., and still turned into a very successful business. And Skype bought it last year, and it's going to become one of the major platforms for their mobile platforms. So Bhaskar before that was also involved in two other startup companies. One was Placeware, which is like WebEx, which was bought by Microsoft, and then again another startup during the .com days, which he obviously can ask him later on questions about. And earlier he also worked in Oracle. So I really appreciate Bhaskar's joining also as a charter member. So one of the things is, by the way, in My Story, anyone, if you know any of your friends or anyone, any entrepreneur who exited his company over 100 million plus or taken IPO, then they can be featured part of My Story program, and I'm sure Pubnub will be there next year. So Bhaskar was featured, and also you get fast-tracked into being a charter member. So Bhaskar, and at the same time, then we convinced him that he should come and be the co-chair of social media program, since Jay was going to focus on his other stuff. And so really appreciate his time and time and energy, and in putting together this wonderful panel. And in fact, this is the first program of the year. And with that, what I will do is let me do a quick intro of Shalini also. She herself is a very accomplished executive. She is the head of partnerships at Google for the YouTube. So, and Shalini has been very instrumental since last year, bringing out a lot of energy into this program. And what I'd like to do is invite Shalini here so she can chat a little bit about what's in store for our social media program this year. So with that, let's give a big round of applause to both of them, and then obviously
Thanks, Naveen. I know all of you were itching to get ready with our panel, so I'm not going to take too much time. I just wanted to let you know, the social sake, we tend to focus really on breakthrough ideas that are changing the way that we interact with our community and our society. And that's really what we look for when we, Bhaskar and I put together these panels, is what are the new and revolutionary technologies, and who are the breakthrough thinkers that are leading these revolutions, so that we can share those insights with all of you and kind of help all of you think through your business ideas and how they kind of relate to some of these innovative visions. I was looking at what we did last year, and we had done panels on social gaming, which I would say is still really, really in, even this year, and so I think we would probably continue a panel on that. We did a panel on video, But the interesting thing is, I think last year what we did was more archived and on-demand video, which is what YouTube is all about. But this year, really the breakthrough that I'm seeing is in real-time video. How do you interact, and how are we using video to interact and communicate with our society? What we're seeing with Google Plus Hangouts, and what we're seeing with the Facebook chats. And I really think that that's onto a revolution. It's almost like we used to think of talk shows in the days of the past, and now we're democratizing talk shows, and we're letting people have their own little talk shows online and on-site. And so I think that's really, really causing a revolution. And so I'm really, really happy to have this fantastic panel on that topic that Bhaskar is going to get started. But Bhaskar and I are also very, very open to new ideas. So if you guys have thoughts on, we'd really love to hear a panel on a certain topic that we think is really breaking through, then please let either Bhaskar or me or Kiran know, and we will definitely work to get a panel together on that. The other thing I just wanted to say was, thank you, Bhaskar, for taking on this co-chair role. It's really been exciting having you on board, and really looking forward to a lot of good panels this year. So with that, I'm going to let Bhaskar start the panel.
Hello, can you hear me? Okay, so let's just get started with the panel. The panel is around real-time video and how things are changing on mobile and social areas. So what I would like to do is request my panelists to introduce themselves, talk about what they do and where they see real-time video headed. And as an icebreaker, we were discussing what kind of question we would like them to answer as the first question from the panelists. And we thought, how about we give them a choice. The first being, what's the farthest you have ever video chatted with someone from a distance standpoint? And what was the reason behind it? Or what's the scandalous thing you've ever done on video? So, either one of those, your pick. Let's start with you, Krish.
It's on. It's on. It's on.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. My name is Krish Ramakrishnan. I'm founder and CEO of Blue Jeans Network. Blue Jeans Network is 2 years old, and we are about interoperable video conferencing in the cloud. By that I mean, as you very well know, video conferencing with different devices, whether it be Skype, Google, Cisco. It's all islands. We connect all those islands together so you can make any call from any device from anywhere at any time. Right? So that's the mission behind Blue Jeans, and our vision is really to convert every audio call into a video call. And for that, you need to have the network effect. You need to have everything interoperable. And that's the reason behind starting this company. In terms of icebreaker, I can, the longest call, what? I don't have a scandalous thing. I'll think about something, but we had a call with somewhere with people in South Korea. That's the longest. But I think what I would say the longest call is more tedious with lawyers over video. All right. So that's I would say with what we have done, but it can be done.
Thanks. My name's Jeff Fleur. I am the founder and CEO of Spreecast. We've been in public beta for just over 3 months. We are a social video platform that lets people broadcast together. So, focused on really a consumer audience in the browser, and we're really all about allowing people, facilitating sort of public, casual, face-to-face conversations. I really wanted to think of something scandalous that I had done, because that would be a lot more exciting, and I'm sure you're going to be disappointed. I couldn't think of anything. I'm sure I've done some, but they've all escaped my mind conveniently. So the longest place I video chatted with was a friend of mine in Israel. So that's all I got for you on that one.
Hey guys, my name is Mayur Kamath. I'm the product manager for Google Plus Hangouts. What we're trying to do with Hangouts is recreate this exact atmosphere online, where a bunch of people can meet together, talk about topics about shared interests, or maybe even not, and discover shared interests. So how do we recreate this atmosphere? Not about one-on-one video, not about directed communication, but just facilitating conversations that typically don't happen online, but happen in the real world. I'll answer both questions, both the long distance scandals actually both as the same incident, and today's a special day for me. Exactly 8 years ago, I proposed to my now wife over Yahoo Messenger back then. It was pretty scandalous back then. Both my family and her family were pretty scandalized by it. But we made 8 years, so it's been a good. And she was I was in Texas. She was in Gujarat back then. So it's pretty long distance from a distance standpoint as well, and pretty scandalous at that point as well.
My name is Salman Sheikh, and I'm manager engineering for telepresence exchange virtualization and cloud engineering part of that. I'm mainly responsible for looking from the point of view of how we can virtualize the exchanges populating all around the globe for the service providers, like large-scale service providers, or if there are some small-scale service providers who are just thinking about leveraging the video collaboration and video communication. The longest call actually I had a couple of days ago was in Indonesia, which was mainly the troubleshooting call because it was one-way video. So, so you can imagine the frustration that you can see the customer, but customer cannot see, and what kind of pain he is going through. So I spent like about the whole team spent like a couple of hours during the middle of the night because customer has been day over there, and we have to serve the customers, and customer always comes first. So that was kind of a painful experience, but in the end we were able to solve that problem, and so that was the accomplishment.
My name is Michael Seibel. I'm the CEO of SocialCam. Our goal is to make it extremely easy to share videos from your phone with your friends and family, and also to provide you with a real-time feed of the videos that people are taking, who you know, who you admire, and who are around you. Before SocialCam, I was the CEO of Justin.tv. We built the largest, I guess you could say, we built the largest live video site on the web. We stream 60 million hours of video every month through our own infrastructure and our own software. And we also splintered part of that business out and built the largest live streaming video gaming site on the web as well, named Twitch TV. In terms of, I've got nothing here. It's like sad. I was thinking the longest video call I've made is to Washington, D.C. That's not very far at all. I don't do scandalous things with video. The coolest story I can tell you is that one of our users on SocialCam is very rich and is a very big Knicks fan. And so I don't know if you guys have been keeping up with Linsanity at all, but we have a user who essentially goes to every single Knicks home game and takes clips of like Jeremy Lin making all these amazing shots. And so that's probably the coolest thing that's happened, but it's neither scandalous nor far.
Hi, my name's Kurt. I'm a director at Skype, and I think I'm the first developer we had here in North America. I've been at Skype for just over 6 years, and over that period I've had the opportunity to work on some fun applications, including being the lead developer on the first iPhone Skype client, and then more recently I've been looking at web, and in particular my team delivered the Facebook video calling integration that was launched last summer. In terms of embarrassing or salacious moments, we use Skype a lot, obviously at work, and we often have to be on early morning calls with our colleagues over in Europe, and I can think of 2 fun stories actually. I may or may not have been involved in either of them, but one was it's always good to have the call on mute, right, if you're not speaking. So on this one occasion, there was the CEO was on a bunch of VPs, and you could hear a toilet flush. Right? So it's like, okay. And then the other one was, it's always good to know if the camera's on or not. And again, early morning calls, you might be in your, pajamas or not even your pajamas. So there have been a couple of those moments at Skype.
so firstly, if anyone has any question at any point in time, just raise your hand and ask. I'll start by asking, real-time video has been talked about for decades. People have been talking about video call, video conferencing, but it's only again that we are seeing a resurgence of that. What changed? What has happened in the recent years?
Well, I can, just to give you some perspective from Skype, I mean, the last year we have done about 300 billion minutes of calling, and actually half of that is video. So, just over the holidays, I think we reached 1 billion in one day, so 500 million video minutes a day, which is just goes to how the market has grown, the opportunity has grown. I think there's three pieces. One is that it's just getting so cheap now to host the infrastructure piece. Secondly, just ubiquity of protocols, whether it be a proprietary one like Skype or Flash even, and some of the new emerging web standards. And then I think just social applications and social touch points. Where do you want to take a asynchronous style of communication and make it synchronous in real time? And obviously for us at Skype, Facebook was like the low-hanging fruit. So, but you look at companies like Spreecast, they're doing some really interesting things that kind of blurs the line between one-to-one communications and sort of more broadcasting type applications. Again, also Google+, so that's my perspective.
From my point of view, I think we saw three trends essentially 2 years ago. One is the increasing adoption of broadband. If you think about for video, you need broadband both for downlink and uplink, and that was the price has been coming down, and it's been adopted not only in the consumer segment but also in the enterprise. The second one, which is the pervasiveness of two-way cameras. I mean, you have two-way cameras shipping everywhere, so that's leads to video. But previously, it was all one-way and it's in the backside, right? But I think trumping all of that is actually the generational change that is happening, right? The people entering the workforce, the 20 and 30-something, are actually comfortable in front of video. I think versus the generation that I grew up in, where it was all, you don't want to be seen, right? You're comfortable in the anonymity of an audio call. The generation that's coming in is very comfortable with video. So that three mega trends is actually forcing people to be on video, broadcast, self-expression, and frankly, video is good quality these days. So everything adds to this perfect storm that is happening right now.
So if I may ask a follow-on question to Jeff, you're leading the charge of looking at making this really social and making conversations more public, to the point where you can take an embed code and put it on any website. How has that changed things?
Yeah, there's a lot of places on the internet where people are having conversations and have for a long time in sort of a public forum. I mean, over the last 8 years, with the rise of social media, there's conversations on Twitter, there's conversations on Facebook, there are conversations in blog posts, and people respond to these things, and there's comments and responses to the comments, and tweets and status updates, and all of these things kind of, lead to conversation in many cases. And these conversations are generally sort of text-based, asynchronous conversations in that sort of public realm. And so, we're now, what Spreecast is doing is trying to bring a lot of those conversations into a face-to-face realm. And not instead of those conversations, but in addition to. So we don't think that the asynchronous text-based conversations are going to go away. And in fact, there are some very big advantages to text-based asynchronous conversations in certain use cases at certain times. But we also believe that there are advantages at times to kind of public forum discussions as well, and so that are face-to-face and video-based. And you asked about our embed functionality, and that really allows for this to be kind of out there on the web in any website, any location, any third party, any third party who wants to kind of facilitate or host or encourage these types of conversations can do that with that, and I think it really gives people more control, and content creators more more control of their brand and their traffic and stuff like that.
And Salman, you're seeing this from a very different angle, right? It means you're seeing this from a business communication perspective. What's your take? Where do you see what has changed in that area? Is video being adopted, video communication being adopted in enterprise, and if so,
So
how do you see it?
I'm looking more from the point of view of immersive video experience in an enterprise domain where the businesses who are trying to collaborate and communicate through the video channel or using video as a key vehicle for them to communicate with each other. I definitely see a big shift, as Krish mentioned, that generational shift has enabled us to be more willing to talk over the video. But I think there was one more thing which I would like to add over here, which is as you know, the Facebook and these kind of social media has made the people to be able to make them people to be more connected. So one thing which was missing in the Facebook was the ability to see face to face, and the video communication is filling that gap. And whether that is a business domain where you can connect to the people in a face to face manner, or whether that is on a personalized basis, in both the areas, that gap is fulfilled, and that requirement is, we are seeing, and we will continue to see that requirement will be filled using the video. So definitely from the business point of view, you would, when you're interacting with each other, people feel more comfortable now when they see face to face, and they wanted to understand the behavior and the gesture, and by having the video interface with you, you feel much more comfortable to understand each other. So, and the current economic situation was another reason where Cisco felt that the video could be the right time for a lot of small, medium, or large-scale enterprises to not to travel, but use the video as a vehicle to meet each other. So that's what my take is.
And Mayur, means from a Google Hangout perspective, what are some of the things that you're seeing in this area, especially when it comes to social interactions and social communications?
I think most of the panelists have talked about, you mentioned real-time video, 500 million minutes in a single day. Problem video has almost solved today, almost we've got there is, you have a connection, you have personal connection already established, we can now easily allow you to communicate over video. And the real world example you would give is, I'll pick up my phone book, I'll go through my contact list, and I'll click on someone and I can dial that someone. The relationship was already established, but now I can communicate with that person in video. The next frontier that we are trying to solve is, how do we build those relationships using video as a mechanism? Okay, so if the relationship did not exist at the beginning, can video help foster those relationships? And again, to give an example, in the real world is, we are all here today, most of us don't know each other. But we have a context, we have a setting, and a lot more connections will be formed today because we're all in the same place. Now if you take that limitation of being in the same place, or maybe in the same country or same continent, same time zone, if you take that limitation away, and we allow video as being that tool to connect new relationships, what can happen? And we've been pretty amazed by what the Google Plus community has done. People have become rock stars, they've got music label contracts. The Dalai Lama and Desmond Tutu overcome the challenges to meet each other and help Dalai Lama meet Desmond Tutu on his birthday. We are seeing people help each other with speech impairments, people doing tax preps, cooking classes. I mean, those are the things that you do in real life in focused, organized settings. And now we're finding that you can build those relationships using video. And I think that's the next frontier. There's a lot more cultural and social barriers to overcome there. You mentioned the toilet flushing story, right? It's still pretty embarrassing for me to take the morning call on video, even with the people I know. Now, to do the same thing with people I don't know is even more, there's a lot more barriers for me to overcome to do that. So we're still figuring out is, the Gen X the Gen Y is doing that right now. They're coming online, meeting up with strangers. But to get that massive, broad adoption is going to be the next frontier for us.
Michael, you're on the other side, right? You started with real-time video broadcasting with Justin.tv, and now SocialCam, which is essentially a way for you to socially share whatever you're doing from a video standpoint. What's the transition that you see?
Yeah, so I might be the only one here who isn't extremely bullish about live video. Having lived through it for 5 years, I think that our experience with SocialCam and why we decided to move from live video to mobile video was that when you step past the demo, when you show someone their ability to create live video, the first 12 seconds, they're like a little baby. They're like, holy crap, I never imagined this was possible. And they all do the same thing. They wave their hand in front of the screen and they see like their hand waving and like, this is magic. But what we found just on TV, unfortunately, was that past that, we really couldn't figure out how to allow video, live video, to solve a problem in the everyday person's life. As we saw people using it, we either saw them kind of going in the Skype direction of communication, which is a real problem, or we saw them going in the kind of broadcast model where one person would be creating video and a lot of people would be consuming it, maybe even talking about it, but this the kind of the star and the audience model. One of the things that we did was we thought maybe if we put live video on people's phones, this will open up the use cases. So we released an iPhone app that allowed you to stream live video from your phone. And completely counterintuitively, we talked to our users and they said, this is great. We use it to take video clips. And we said, well, it's not good for video clips. It's really choppy and doesn't work if you've got a bad internet connection. And they're like, we love it for taking video clips. And you say, well, there are all these other solutions on your phone for taking video clips. And they say, they're bad, this is what we use it for. And so we kind of came to the realization that video is still something that a lot of people find intimidating. If you were to think about kind of your group of friends and how many of them take at least a video a week, I would bet it's something on the order of 1 out of 100. Whereas if you'd ask the same question about a photo, it might be 1 out of 2. So when we think about the challenge, we think there's now a device in your pocket 15 hours a day that can take video. Your smartphone is the most widely distributed video creation device ever invented. And before we want to tackle live video, which we really love, and our passion, we spent 5 years doing it, our community really told us, hey look, I can't even use the video camera in my pocket to take a video clip. When we talked to our users, the thing they said was if they wanted to share a video clip, they'd take it with their phone, wait for their friend to be in the same room with them, and then show them the video on their phone. And this is like, a phone with internet, this is a modern phone. And so to me, I think that when you kind of look at a company like YouTube, what was amazing at the time was they made video distribution so easy. Like it went from being you had to be some big television station to distribute your video to millions of people, so you could be an everyday person. I think unfortunately YouTube started a little too early to make creation easy. If you remember back when YouTube came out, you're still making your video on your Sony Handycam and figuring out how to get that video on your computer. It's a really hard process. We think the opportunity now is that a startup can actually run the process from the device through to distribution. And that's the first time this ever happened. So I think our focus right now is how do we get people comfortable with just taking video clips, simple things like taking a video clip of your kids. And once people get comfortable with that, I think they'll start becoming much more comfortable with broadcasting and kind of following that model.
Does anyone want to refute that in terms of live video adoption and the progression that Michael talked about?
No, it's pretty true, right? As I said, if you are being on video is intimidating because you're opening yourself up, but it's also emotionally connecting for that very reason, right? I mean, when you meet someone face to face, there are things that you discern that's not possible. You can react to that, which is more important, which is not possible in async video communication. So I'm talking to you, I'm seeing your expressions, are you connecting with me, and I can change myself. I can change the tone of my conversation of what I'm saying based on that real-time feedback. And that element's important for connection, right? That's how we've been connecting as a society for thousands of years, is learning from each other, learning from those visual expressions. And it is intimidating for that very reason. People are judging you based on that, and you have to react to that, so it's intimidating. So I completely agree with the limitations, but that's an opportunity for us, right? We solve those limitations. We set the right context, right? And context is important. We are all here. There's a context that we're entrepreneurs or we're building technology products. Once we have the context, it's easy to go to someone and say, you know, hey, I'm doing this, you're doing that. Why don't we talk more about it? It's difficult to do the same thing at a club, for example, right? It's very intimidating for people to go and approach someone at a completely random party because there's no context. But you got a friend's Christmas dinner and you see someone, friend of a friend, you go talk to them even if you don't know them because there's that context, the social context. So if we can establish that, I think we can reduce that intimidation level. And once we do that, I think the connections that are formed will be much stronger than they would be otherwise.
I would only add, echo that, there clearly is, a percent of the population that is intimidated by getting on video and getting on camera real time in public, without a doubt. And I think the trends, there's a couple things happening that I think we have that are, as a tailwind to that, and one is this sort of generational shift where younger people are just much more comfortable. Another is, mobile phones in everybody's pockets, taking video at all, and then taking video themselves, even if it's recorded, there's a natural progression there and a natural, I think, adoption and acceptance of being on video. But we also have Google Hangouts spending a lot of money on TV ads, which is helping everybody as well. So thanks for doing that.
Yeah, I'll add one more thing over here, which is basically the experience. As we touched earlier about that, yeah, there are pervasive and immersive video technologies which are enabling us to be more natural looking on the video, and there are some devices like the reason we use these kind of devices so frequently is that they are so obvious and so easy to use from usability perspective, and we are not there in terms of from the usability point of view for leveraging the video as our default medium for communication. There are still technological challenges, and from the usability point of view, it's not that much easy and seamless for a common end user and some as an individual. We see that on a day-to-day basis in an enterprise environment as well, where an executive is struggling to dial to another person because it's still hard. It's not very intuitive and very obvious the way it is we are used to for these other medium of communications. So the moment we will overcome those kind of barriers where we can communicate from one person to the other or a whole bunch of people without technologically challenged, whether it's a multi-point call or a point-to-point call, we will see much more adoption. And I think from the timing perspective, we are getting there because of the cloud is providing a lot of technology for us, and the endpoints, I mean all these interfaces which gives you the ability to communicate through the video are getting more and more smarter and becoming more and more intuitive for the user.
And just to add to that, I don't know if anybody's actually mentioned 4G for mobile, which is, we're at the, I don't know, you probably know what percentage, but it's kind of early, and I think, look forward 12 or 24 months, and there's just going to be more and more 4G connected devices, which will greatly enhance mobile to the, mobile video.
Yeah, but the best thing about 4G is not even the bandwidth, is the latency, right? Bandwidth, we've crossed the bandwidth chasm for a while now, and because why the async model works really well, because you have pretty high bandwidth mobile networks. You can take a video and upload it to internet pretty instantaneously. The latency is still a problem for real time, right? We're talking especially for audio and stuff. You're completely out of sync, your video, audio feeds, and you're not degrading gracefully according to the bandwidth, then it's a very poor means of communication. Or rather do a phone call than do a video call with bad latency connections. And that the 4G networks will probably improve a lot. I'm seeing like insane bandwidth and latency speeds on my 4G LTE device now. It's pretty cool.
Quick question for you is since you've touched upon the technology or the limitations there of both of you, so it's fair to ask what is the fascinating aspects of the underlying technology of real-time or non-real-time video, and where is it going? What are the limitations of offering HD or syncing of audio video or all of these kinds of things? If you can touch upon briefly as as a big foundation for the technology differentiation and therefore the market differentiation. That would be really helpful.
I'll take a stab at that, and I'll let Krish, who's probably the expert in this space, to comment on that. One, there are two approaches that among all the audience panelists here. One is the P2P approach which Skype has pioneered, which is really awesome if both endpoints are on good bandwidth, good latency connections. The challenge happens in multi-way communication. If you're doing peer-to-peer multi-way, even if one link is poor, it just doesn't hamper that person's experience. It in some way hampers the entire networks, all the people in the communication. We have tried to go with a different approach, so what we do with Hangouts is the entire bandwidth and infrastructure is hosted on Google servers. I mean, if one person has poor connection to Hangout, and that person has a degraded, but gracefully degraded experience, but the rest of the bandwidth is still maintained and other people have pretty decent experiences. The challenge, of course, is expensive, right? Either both of those things, it takes a lot of infrastructure, which is where the cloud and infrastructure as a service is playing a big role right now, allowing everyone to have that infrastructure. It's still expensive, but you can have access to it. You don't need to build it yourself.
Well, I completely agree with you. We specialize in multi-party video, and as I said, many types of devices can connect. We can, in a single session, 25 different